Welcome back to Tour with Joe, darling. Today, One is going to be teaching you how you can sound like One, a local from London. Oh jolly good, how marvellous would that be? Wouldn't it be horrible and ghastly if you was to come to London and not know how to speak like One? Sorry, one moment, excuse me. Hello, One speaking, darling? Yes, I'm just recording a video right now. What do you mean I've got the wrong video? Oh, it's meant to be the slang video. The top 5 words to speak like a local and learn slang. Oh mate, I've been recording the wrong video, I'm halfway through it now. Yeah, I'm going to start again and I'll do it properly. Yeah, cheers for the heads up mate. See you later geezer. Bye. Have you ever wanted to learn to speak like you're from London, the heart of British society and culture? Well, today we're going to be going through my favourite top London words that will help you if you're visiting London. For the purpose of this video, we are going to be using an imaginary character called Dave to put these words into context. So first up, old man. Let's get into a definition. So an old man is a man or a gentleman, irrespective of their age. I know, it sounds a bit weird, right? We call them old man, but now I'm telling you it's irrespective of their age. Let me explain. So here in London, when we call someone the old man, we don't literally mean an old man. I know, it sounds a bit confusing. So when we use the word, we actually refer to somebody's dad. So, you know, somebody's old man, the older version of them. So let me put it into context for you. Without understanding the definition of old man in London, it could get a bit confusing. So I do recommend not to go around calling your dad or a gentleman an old man because they might get a bit offended, especially if they're not old. But maybe if your father is actually old, maybe you just call him an old man, or shall I say an unoffended old man? Alright Dave, how's the old man getting along? Yeah, he's brilliant mate, thanks for asking. I personally use the word old man so much. If I'm speaking to my friend and I'm asking about their dad, their father, I normally go, hey mate, how's the old man getting along? Next up, we have the word blower. So not quite like a leaf blower, which you might be thinking, but more like a telephone. So here's the definition now. A blower is a British telephone masterpiece, or a speaking device. So in London, if you want to call someone, we don't just call them on the phone, we call them on the blower. It's a bit more of an old-fashioned word, but using the word blower, you'll fit right in. But guys, let me give you some context behind this example. We're not all weird in London. So back in the old days, when you wanted to get hold of someone, you'd have a tube. And at the end of that tube, you'd have a whistle. So what one would do is simply take out the stopper from their end, they would blow down the tube, and they would attract the other person's attention at the end of the tube, because the whistle would make a sound. So therefore, we call it a blower. But guys, top tip. When you're speaking to someone in London on the phone, please don't just blow down the phone. That's not the meaning behind it. What's for dinner tonight, Dave? Just on the blower now, mate. Ordering a Chinese. Next up, we have the word boozer. This is one of my favourite words because I love to go out and I love to have a drink. So into the definition. So a boozer is a fine British place to eat or drink, also known as a pub. So if you're out around London and you're gasping for a drink, what better place to visit one of our historical pubs, tucked away down the back alleys of London? After all, who wouldn't want to go to a pub with crap customer service, overpriced drinks, and some really cringy music? I'm joking guys, London has some beautiful pubs and I highly recommend you go and visit them. But do bear in mind, if you're going in there with £20, you may only get 3 drinks. Just heading down the boozer with Dave tonight, meeting up with the lads. So next up, we have the word geezer. You'll hear this a lot if you're around the east ends of London, but let's get into a definition. A geezer is simply a man or a gentleman. Nice and simple guys. But also, a geezer can refer to someone who's very down to earth. So, for example, if you see someone that's dodgy, you might say, that guy is a very dodgy geezer. However, if you met someone down the boozer, or you met someone out around London, you might say he's a diamond geezer. Overall, you can call someone a dodgy geezer, a diamond geezer, or simply just a geezer. Any word can be put in front of the word geezer. Yeah, just met this guy down the pub, Dave. He's a diamond geezer. Next up, we have the word butchers, also known as having a butchers. The definition is to take an interest or to look at something. In London, if you want to have a butchers, we don't simply mean butchers as in meat. We mean that you're taking an interest and you'll want to go in and have a look at something. For example, if you're passing by a shop, you might say, just gonna pop in here, need to have a little butchers around. But guys, do bear in mind, this one can get confusing. For example, if you are passing by a butcher's shop and you go in and you say, I'm just going to have a butcher's inside the butcher's. Or should we make it even more confusing? What if you are a butcher and you're going past a butcher's to have a butcher's? But guys, enough messing around now.
No.
Just pop on in a shop here, mate. Gonna have a little butcher's around. Next up, we have the word cuppa, also known as not my cuppa. So guys, I'm sure you all know, not just in London, but throughout the whole of Britain, we do go mad for tea. We really see tea as our precious drink. So bearing in mind how much we do love tea, if we do find something not to our liking, we would say, not to my cuppa. But top tip, if you are visiting London, do make sure you love tea. Dave, this meal is just not to my cuppa. I don't like it. Next up, we have the famous words, going out. Let me explain this one. Here's the definition. So going out is going beyond going out. So when you go out to a club or you go to a party. So guys, that's not a spelling mistake. It is going out, 2 outs. So in London, if you are going out for a drink, you might say, I'm popping out. But if you're then going to go to a party or you're going to go one step further to a club, we refer to it as going out. So we have different levels of going out in London. And I know it sounds really confusing, but it's actually really simple. If you're there for a good time and simply want to leave on time, you'd say you're going out tonight. But if you're there and you're going out and you know you're going to go to the club, then we say we're going out. So if you are going out or going out, it really will depend on how much money you've got, how you're feeling, and how influential your friends are. Either way, I'm sure you'll have a great time in London. Dave, are we going out tonight or are we going out? Next up, we have the word pint. Definition of a pint is simply an alcohol beverage, also known as a beer. So, if you are visiting a boozer in London, it may be time to go up to the bar and order a beer. However, top tip, call it a pint. If you really want to fit in with the locals, we don't just drink beers in London, we drink pints. You'll find, especially in summertime, that everybody loves going out to the pub, especially if it has a beer garden. But good luck finding a beer garden in London. Dave, grab us a pint, mate, and grab us a packet of peanuts whilst you're there. And lastly, we have one of the most common terms you will hear, this city. So the definition of the city is simply the city of London, but also known as the centre of the city. Let me explain. So in London, you might hear the word the city quite frequently. And you might be thinking to yourself, I am in the city, I'm in the city of London. But when we use the word the city, we don't just mean London, we actually mean the centre of London. So I know it sounds confusing, but it's really not. If you work in London, you might say I work in London. But if you work in the heart of London, central London, you normally say I work in the city. I know, a city inside a city, but if you hear it guys, just travel to the centre of London. Yeah, I've got a mate called Dave, he works in the city in banking. So guys, this includes my favourite top phrases that will help you when you're travelling to London. Please let me know in the comments down below what your favourite top London phrase is, or if there's another phrase that I've not covered today. Please do like, subscribe and show support to this channel, and we'll see you in the next one.